Fans are not too pleased with a recent Smackdown event, so we'll see what's being said there. We'll also check out what's going on with Liv Morgan, Chelsea Green, and more. Starting things off with one of the more controversial moments from the October 11th edition of Smackdown, and this was everything about the WWE Women's Tag Team Titles match. It was announced late in the week that Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend would be making their Smackdown main roster debuts to take on Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill for the Women's Tag Team titles. Now, this was a pretty big dream match within the community. It was a match that Jakara and Lash have been talking about for a really long time, and finally got their wish on the big main roster stage. And they both haven't competed on yet since they've been NXT talent over the last several years. And for Bianca and Jade, it was a great fresh matchup with a great new team that they've never stepped foot in the ring with. So it was a big moment all around for the fans that dreamed of seeing this match, and even for the talent within the match that have been patiently waiting for this opportunity as well. But things started to get a bit questionable with Jakara and Lash's Smackdown entrance. Their entrance got interrupted and cut off by Kevin Owens, who appeared in the ring to talk about his bad blood attack on Cody Rhodes. And this just puts a bad taste in fans' mouths right away. It's Jakara and Lash's first main roster Smackdown entrance. It's something they'll never forget. Trying to make a good first impression on the crowd, but they got interrupted by Kevin Owens. Some fans just felt like Kevin interrupting them is not the best way to introduce new fans to the NXT team, because those fans are going to assume that this team most likely is not that important because they got interrupted like nothing. And that's definitely a bit wrong. So Jakara and Lash have to stand at ringside while this mini Cody, Randy, and Kevin segment played out. But unfortunately, the bad things didn't stop there. The actual women's tag team titles match itself lasted barely 3 minutes. Everyone knows there's a time limit to the show. Not every segment is going to have a lot of time, but fans just expected more time to be given to a big dream match and for an NXT tag team's debut. It's kind of hard to show fans what you've got and get them interested in you within just 2 minutes. And remember, over a decade ago, it was a 2-minute women's tag team match that started the entire fan outrage online for the women's division to get better opportunities in the first place. So it's pretty much PTSD when we see a 2-minute women's tag team match still taking place a whole decade later. So that had fans pretty irated that Jakara and Lash's Smackdown debut, including their entrance, getting cut off in favor of something else and a 2-minute match for these titles. Fans also pointed out that Jade and Bianca seemed a bit irated after the match, but there's no telling what exactly that was about. That pretty much is open for interpretation. Maybe the look on their faces was to show how tough of a challenger Jakara and Lash were to defeat, or maybe it was something unrelated. Another thing that fans felt like it really took away from this women's tag team match on SmackDown was the fact that WWE already announced that Bianca and Jade would be defending their titles against Damage Control on the October 14th edition of Raw way in advance. So that pretty much was a solid spoiler that they were going to defeat Jakara and Lash. So it did eliminate some of the stakes about that tag team titles match on SmackDown. Just an overall weird amount of situations that surrounded the women's tag team titles on that edition of SmackDown. And hopefully that's not a trend and a preview of how these titles will be handled and treated in the future. Hopefully they can get things back on track for the titles real soon. A very interesting situation that jumped off on social media for Chelsea Green that involves a former superstar. Chelsea's recent narrative and direction on SmackDown has mostly included a lot of misfortune and bad things happening to her. She recently lost the dumpster match, and running narrative and story is that it left a big stench on her. And just recently on SmackDown, Lash Legend kicked Chelsea Green over the commentary table when Chelsea and Piper were there to watch the match. Well, Chelsea's husband and former WWE superstar, Matt Cardona, quoted the Lash attack on Chelsea and complained about SmackDown being an unsafe working environment for his wife, Chelsea Green. SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis even responded to Matt's tweet and told him not to start with that. Chelsea Green ended up quoting both of their tweets with a gif of a Grinch smiling. So it's a brief Twitter interaction, but it had fans truly wondering about what a Matt Cardona WWE return would look like. Matt Cardona used to play the character of Zack Ryder in WWE, and at one point was a massively popular star and big merchandise seller for the company. He hasn't been seen for several years now, but he's been keeping his name really quite relevant around the wrestling scene. And the biggest question fans had ever since Chelsea's return to WWE was if there was a shot that she brings her husband, Matt, back with her. Chelsea has said in several interviews how that is her big end goal. They do want to work together in WWE on screen together. They did some work together in TNA, so they want to do that again with each other inside the WWE ring. Matt has been backstage at several recent WWE events to support his wife. And there's been rumors and reports for a while now that Matt was on his way back with WWE, but nothing's happened since. But even looking at Matt's tweet, you get a glimpse of what his return could look like. Maybe he comes back and he's a male version of his wife. He's always trying to speak with Nick Aldis. He's complaining about unfair things with himself and with his wife. If Nick Aldis is going crazy dealing with Chelsea Green, it would be pretty funny to see how he handles Matt and Chelsea acting the same way at the same time towards him. So fans really feel like the path back to WWE for Matt Cardona is through linking up with his wife Chelsea Green on WWE television. Chelsea Green goes through something so major that she has to bring in her husband for help, and things take off from there. So that's something that fans really hope we see in the future. Liv Morgan broke character recently on Twitter to address a moment from the Bad Blood match with Rhea Ripley. WWE posted the video footage of the referee head camera from Rhea and Liv's Bad Blood match. Liv Morgan's response was for them to show the moment where Rhea Ripley should have been counted out. And Liv is shining some light on what was nearly a botch. The ending of Liv and Rhea's match was quite chaotic, full of outside interference, despite it technically being a standard match. And Liv is saying there was a point in the chaos where Rhea Ripley should have been legitimately counted out. So she brings some attention to that referee for not going all the way with counting the 10 out when he really should have. And Rhea Ripley answered back in her own snappy way. Rhea asked WWE to show Liv's sneaky way of cheating to win without getting caught, but then pointed out how she did get caught. And this was once again putting a spotlight on an actual botch from the match. Raquel was supposed to quietly attack Rhea Ripley without getting caught, and have Liv Morgan pin Rhea without the referee having any idea about what happened. But that finish was all botched, and the referee just had to call for a disqualification when everything was clearly happening in their face. Liv ended the interaction by saying nothing matters because she's still the champion and greatest champion of all time. So just a very interesting interaction of both women, putting some attention on some of these botches from Bad Blood. Based off some of the recent segments, it looks like Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan, Dominic, and Raquel is continuing. So both women will have another chance to score a clean win over each other. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.